Welcome to it, sports fans. A different ball game. That's what we are. A different ball game. My name is MKT, Mbulelo Kayaletu Tinta, and welcome to the future of sports content. Different ball game, of course, CliffCentral Sport, Big Shot Media, and you. Those are the three things that are necessary. It's really like a play. You need the people that write the play, you need the actors, and then you need a crowd. People in the crowd. And you are that. And it is awesome to be with you. Thursday, my goodness, Champions League is set. Right? Die Mannschaft are in the final. They would play the Parisians. The pretty boys of Paris have made it to the final. That'll be awesome. We'll start off with that. And then the dilemma at Manchester United. As a Chelsea fan, there's a situation at goalkeeper now. But we'll get into that in a little bit. Tonight, of course, Q&A. So if you're with us, welcome to it. Drop your questions into the live chat, and I will certainly answer as many of those as possible. Let's get straight into it tonight. Just my mediocre 5 out of 10 face. And 5 out of 10, I'm being kind. And I'm with the very, very handsome David Leroux. So good evening to Dave. Good evening to you. Let's get underway. So here's the thing, right? Is in life, sometimes, right? In fact, every time, everyone's wife is the most beautiful to them, right? Everyone's girlfriend and wife is the most beautiful to them. My wife's the most. How many times have you heard that? How's it possible? Let's say you've got 8 friends in relationships. How's it possible that everyone's wife is the most beautiful wife in the world? Let's be honest. It's not true. But it's okay. You have to believe it. So Kylian Mbappe posted something on social media after Olympique Lyonnais dismissed Manchester City out of the Champions League semi-finals. And if you don't watch football or you don't get the reference, is essentially everybody calls the French league and to some extent the German league the Farmers League, where it's really you got the farmers and his kids making up the rest of the league outside of the teams that are dominant. And Mbappe, of course, a little tongue-in-cheek, he's saying the Premier League's the Farmers League, because that sort of comment comes from, right? It comes from the Premier League and the fans. Everybody says, hey, the Premier League is the toughest in the world. So here's my response to Kylian Mbappe. It is still the Farmers League. The French league is still a joke. It is top heavy. All right? No French team has been relevant until the Qataris came along and did what they've done. Essentially, they're playing practice games every week. Now, stop telling me about the talent, right? Stop telling me about the talent in the French league that comes to the English league. What good is talent, right, if you don't do anything with it? Stop telling me about talent. Like, there's lots of people with potential in the world. How many people you look at, your friends, your sister, your cousin, and 5 years later you go, oh my God, she should have been the best. She should have been a developer at this company. She should. No, I only care about people that deliver. I don't want to hear about the talent in the French league. If the French league is so great, why don't they have 6 teams that develop their talent and everybody wants to watch it? The beauty of the modern world is, and you know, you can have your problems with the term free market, but the beauty of the free market is fans aren't idiots. People aren't idiots, especially when their money has to go somewhere. The Premier League's more popular in France. The figures are out now, right? Than the French league. The Premier League's more popular in France. That's viewing numbers, by the way. That's not me making it up. The Premier League's more popular in France, contrary to Kylian Mbappe and all the French people that get, oh my goodness, sacre bleu, they say. It is the Farmers League, and I'm going to show you why. Let's have a look at the last 9 seasons, because that's when the money came. Ladies and gentlemen, for our podcast viewers, I've taken it from the 2011-2012 season. I'd like to let you know that 3 teams in the last 9 seasons have won Ligue 1. Montpellier disrupted Paris Saint-Germain's run in 2011-2012. In 2016-2017, of course, Prince Philip and his guys came through. Monaco did their thing 16-17. We kind of celebrate that as South Africans because we got a Krugersdorp girl right now who is possibly being kidnapped. We don't know what's happening there. It's not exactly the princess's dream. She's got a bit of a Rapunzel meets, I don't know what kind of situation. It's like her dream and nightmare on earth. But that's another story. Listen, Paris Saint-Germain have won 7 of the last 9 titles. So they went 4 in a row at a stage. Monaco interrupted that. They've gone 3 in a row, and they're going to win next season again. They're going to win next season again. It's the Farmers League, and let me show you why. Because let's have a look at the Premier League. So before I go through the Premier League, let me make something very clear. Don't confuse the Champions League, right, being the best level of competition and the Premier League not being the best league. I've always said this. The Premier League's the toughest competition in world football. In all of football. The World Cup's useless. The World Cup's really 3 or 4 teams all the time. I know everybody says, hey, it's the whole world playing. Stop it. Nobody cares about international football. You look at guys pulling out of international football all the time. The World Cup is such a diluted competition, and really it's, 4 European teams and 2 South American teams all the time. All the time. All the time, same teams. Germany, Brazil, Spain, Italy. Add who you will after that. Always the same teams. Here's the greatest competition in the world. Right? In the last 9 seasons, we had Man City, Man United, Chelsea, Leicester, Liverpool have recently just done it. That's 5 different champions. The longest a team has gone was Man City 2 seasons ago, winning the league in a row. Right? That's twice. 2 seasons in a row, that's it. Otherwise, forget it. The competition's too tough. This is the big boy league. And I don't want anybody getting caught up in this French league being successful for 2 seconds and thinking, oh, okay, now the Premier League is the Farmers League. Stop confusing the Champions League format being the strength. It's not. Particularly this season, look at what the Premier League teams had to do to come back. The French teams essentially have been on holiday for 6 weeks. The Premier League teams were absolutely shot and exhausted. Absolutely shot. Right? The German teams, once again, listen, I love München. Mia San Mia, I'm a huge Bayern Munich fan. Huge Bayern Munich fan. But in reality, they've been on holiday because they won the league like 8 games ago. So they've been rotating their team. Kingsley Coleman, Tolisso, everyone gets a chance. Coutinho even played in the league a little bit. So to Kylian Mbappe, I'm afraid that's not going to work, mate. It is a 1-team league. It is a Farmers League. Stop telling me that the Champions League is the highest form of competition in the world. It's the Premier League, and it's not even close. Competition 1 to 20, there's nothing like it. Ligue 1 has 1 team. Bundesliga has 2 teams. La Liga, 2 teams. Every single country, I had to look at the numbers. In every single country, go and Google it yourself. The Premier League's more famous in Spain, in Italy, and there's another league. Italy, 1 team. 7 is it 7 years in a row now? Juventus, the old lady. Premier League more popular in Italy than any other league. More popular in Spain than La Liga. More popular in France than Liga. People aren't stupid. And if it's your own people, what more do you want? Farmers League. Hey, Mbappe, get out of here with that. So can we please stop it? The Premier League is the strongest. It is king, and it is only getting stronger. In the last 9 seasons, we have, 5 different champions? Liga 4 times in a row, Paris Saint-Germain. They've just gone 3-peat. They're going to win next season again. They could play their B team. They could play their B team and win it comfortably by 20, 30 points. Farmers League all the way. Speaking of a team that could be in a Farmers League, let me tell you something. Listen, there's a problem at Manchester United. And I know everybody wants to plaster it over. Everybody wants to say, nah, we'll figure it out. Ollie will figure it out. I'm a Chelsea fan. And in law, there is something called precedent. In law, there's something called precedent. If you've seen something before, you better believe that's how we're going to behave from now on. And most of sport is a copycat league. In most of sport. I saw Thibaut Courtois at the age of 22 come back from 3 seasons of loan at Atletico Madrid, come back to Chelsea, the greatest Chelsea goalkeeper of all time, and arguably, well, not arguably, the second greatest keeper the Premier League's ever seen, Peter Cech, was the guy. Now, Chelsea had a dilemma. Courtois had been unbelievable at Atletico Madrid. Or, as they say, Atletico Madrid, in Madrid, for 3 seasons. He came back, Oblak was their guy, and now Cech was there. Chelsea had a choice to make. The new young lion who was world-class and said, I want to play, or I'm out of here. So I've seen it before. This is not me making it up. I've seen it before, and football people are very similar. It's a copycat league. So here's Man United's dilemma. Bournemouth they've got a fire sale going right now. Right? There's been a huge announcement, right? Sheffield Wednesday today announced an £18 million signing. Listen, it was on Twitter today. I'd heard the rumors, but I didn't think they were going to pull the trigger. I thought the Henderson thing, they were going to figure it out for another season. No go. Aaron Ramsdale, £18.5 million announced today. Huge, huge deal. How does that affect Man United? Here's how. Henderson's been there for 2 seasons. This is a huge, huge signing. And it is a problem because I don't care how diehard you are as a Man United fan. I don't care how diehard you are. I don't care how much you love David De Gea. Listen, De Gea's only won 1 Premier League. People talk about him like he's Peter Schmeichel. He's only got 1 Premier League, by the way. Everybody keeps talking about this guy like it's Peter Cech, David Seaman. 1 Premier League title. Trust me, at Man United, they'll have no problem seeing De Gea go. 50, 60 million pounds. And Alex Ferguson always said something interesting. The very first season he started seeing problems with the great Edwin van der Sar. Get the hell out of here. Get the hell out of here. First season. Because Fergie said, once a goalkeeper starts making mistakes, that never gets better. And De Gea's have been rudimentary. But here's another thing that I know Man United fans think they should celebrate this. But then I heard Man United are giving Henderson a new contract. So everybody thinks this is a reason to celebrate if you're Manchester United. I don't believe that's what's happening here. It's long-term deal, and they know people are coming. So this says one of 2 things to me. This deal says one of 2 things to me. David De Gea is gone this season, or Dean Henderson is gone this season. Because what you're doing by this deal is you secure the Henderson asset because he's clearly a top 4 goalkeeper. It's clear. He's quite brilliant and he's got good feet. And he's the long-term guy. I believe De Gea is gone this season. This deal says to me, De Gea is gone this season. If not, Henderson's gone this season and not on loan. No assurance because he's ready to play now. He's shown at a top 6 team that I am ready to be the guy now. And he played in an expansive team. By the way, United are a defensive team. Henderson was exposed a lot. And they play from the back to Sheffield United. So he's ready now. He's got better feet than De Gea. And I'm afraid he had a better season than De Gea last season. David De Gea has to go. He's got to go now. This deal, Henderson's going, I'm going to sign the deal. I love Man United because if they're going to sell me, I want to secure that it's a big deal. So you shouldn't celebrate. This is to put pressure on Man United. He's going to sign the deal. But then it means De Gea's got to go now. If De Gea doesn't go this season, believe you me, Henderson's not waiting another season. Chelsea need a goalkeeper. Chelsea need a goalkeeper right now. Man City could... I'd like to see some pressure on Edison. And Man City will come. 70, 80 million. I know people say it'll never happen. Carlos Tevez crossed from Man United to... And he was Man United's best striker, by the way. He's better than Wayne Rooney. I don't care what anybody says. There's precedent in law. Tevez has done that trip before. At the peak of his powers. Man City will come. 70, 80 million pounds. Man United have shown me we don't care about football right now. We care about money. There's teams out there with money. Listen, Tottenham. Is he not an upgrade on Tottenham's situation? They just got Joe Hart, by the way, as rotation. Unbelievable. Tottenham will come. Henderson is top 6 quality. Tottenham will come with the money back. They'll back up the Brinks truck, 50, 60 million. Man United are in a situation. I believe the correct move is let him go now. Thibaut Courtois came back. Check had to sit on the bench for a season. I believe the best case scenario for David De Gea is he's on the bench this season. Henderson will play at a top 6 club this season, and it is a nightmare situation for Man United. If anything, they've left it too late. Sell De Gea last season because we saw the decline last season. You've probably shaved 10 million pounds off his price this season by exposing him again. So for me, don't celebrate the new deal. Be panicked if you're Man United because this deal says, Henderson says, I want to play now. You're going to pay me 60, 70, 80,000 pounds and I'm going to play now. Top 6 now. Big problems. And I've seen it before. The Courtois Czech thing was uncomfortable. Czech had to sit on the bench for a season. Could you imagine being the second best of all time in anything you've ever done? And these egos are huge, people. You think David De Gea is going to sit there and be happy? Keepers are supposed to be in their prime at 30. Sometimes you just have to leave, folks. Sometimes you just have to leave. De Gea may be tired. Same voices, same place. It may be time to go home. Chelsea might be after Oblak. Atletico Madrid, he could go back there. Real Madrid, okay, they've got Courtois. Ter Stegen, maybe it's not working out there. There are options. PSG, they need a goalkeeper. I love Keylor Navas, but they are all about the profile. Sometimes you need a different voice. David De Gea, I'm afraid it's over. Love to hear what Man United fans think, but I think it's over now. It's not next season. This deal, Henderson's deal, isn't about next season. It's about now. Love to hear what you think. Big keeper dilemma. A big keeper dilemma at Man United. And that's going to get awkward because Henderson's going to come back and train. And I'm pretty sure everyone's going to see it's like, we want to play expansive football. No, that's the guy. Because if there's one criticism, and I have many of De Gea over the last 2 seasons, he's got terrible feet. He's got terrible feet. And in 2020, you just can't have it because we've seen what everybody wants to do. Let's play from the back. It's over. David De Gea, tahalaria. Hasta mañana, as they say. All right, we're going to get into the Q&A. I'd love to know what you think, by the way. If you're a Man United fan, drop your questions in there. I'd love to know what you think of the David De Gea situation. So we're going to take a little break, and then I will come back, and we will have our Q&A. Alrighty, Dave, let's get straight to it. Pretty sure we've got some questions. What you got for me, David LaRue? Lulama Kabaga says, one of the best examples was when Mayweather knocked out Ortiz. They accused him of acting illegally and unsportsmanlike. So this is a reference to a conversation we had with Woude and somebody saying Richie McCaw was always breaking the law. Listen, we spoke about it yesterday, and I won't go on about it too much. But the thing about laws is the people that move us forward in society operate on the edge of those laws. Floyd Mayweather, love him or hate him, leave your personal feelings at home, and he's had some real character issues. So I'm on the fence about Floyd Mayweather in general, but what you cannot deny is he's certainly the greatest defensive boxer of all time. I think it's a bit far to say he's the greatest boxer of all time. But in this particular incident, in boxing, if you don't watch boxing, there is a rule. Protect yourself at all times. If the referee is not touching your gloves, protect yourself at all times. In this particular fight, you can go on YouTube it. Victor Ortiz was getting instructions from, of course, the ref, and Mayweather was. And Ortiz was still looking at the ref, but didn't have his hands up. Mayweather, being the devil that he is, swings, hook, lights out. The rest is history. So greatness operates on the edge of the rules. And often, not always, often greatness would rather ask for forgiveness than permission. So unsportsmanlike, these are all romantic words. People want to win. The greats want to win. And winning can be a brutal, brutal business. Dave, what you got for me? Ndogozo Majozi says, well, that's why we have Bongi Mbonambi. Marx serves his purpose. Listen, that's a great point. We were talking about the role of an open side fetcher, as Woude was picking her Springbok fetchers last night. And, in South African history, we've been very lucky. We've had James Dalton, we've had Bismarck du Plessis, and then Malcolm Marx now. And people might say, why don't we have an open side fetcher? Well, when you've got that type of athlete at hooker, why not play these big bruises that we've got? And so we've never really had a ball hawk or favored that in South African rugby. Luke Watson, though world class. Heinrich Brosseau wasn't the default option. Skulk had, I think, meningitis at the time and a fused neck that he had to go and get done. So he couldn't play against the British and Irish Lions. Heinrich Brosseau was brilliant, but we still never reverted to what you call a ball hawk or an open side, a classic open side number 7 fetcher. They prefer that in England. They prefer that in New Zealand. The Australians have had, a couple in a row now. Phil Waugh, George Smith. I like Michael Hooper as well. And Pocock, I think. I'd say Pocock's probably the best of them. I know everybody says Smith because he played what feels like 180 million test matches. But I think Pocock was the ultimate version of the ball hawk that they've had. So I think we've been very lucky in SA rugby. And I spoke yesterday about Barcelona and self-confidence issues. There's no need for the Springboks to go and copy anybody else. Because ultimately, what do we want to do? We want to win. Yes, the romance of 15-man rugby, blah, blah, blah. Got to hell with that. You want to win, right? Performance and flash, that's for under 21 schools rugby, development rugby. At the top, you want to win. The Springboks have won 3 professional World Cups. Nobody's ever done that. The model works. So the open side fetcher, we don't need it in South African rugby because we don't play expansive rugby. Right? What's always the key in South African rugby? There's a pattern. Our best player is always our number 7, our blindside flanker, our 8th man, and our scrum half. All of our rugby is played 9-7-8. 9-7-8. That's always the key. Look at all of our great teams. The Springboks have never had a great fly half. Don't let anybody fool you. Nas Botha wasn't a great fly half. He could kick. That's it. He was perfect for SA rugby, but a revolving door. Couldn't tackle a fish supper. Could not tackle a fish supper. So let's get over this thing. We're not the All Blacks, and we're not going to change. The reasons for those, I'll let you speculate that. But I agree. I think, Marx, and we're so lucky because Bongi Mbonambi, by the way, is an absolute terrier and is tremendous at the breakdown. There's different ways to defend as well. There's different ways to attack the ball. The Springbok way is slow the ball down. And what do you do by that? It's why Peter Steph du Toit, I believe, is so loved, is everybody hits at the advantage line and you tackle them back. And that's a size thing. In contact, I don't care if you don't understand physics. In contact, listen, the big one's always going to have the... I don't care what happens. If you're smaller than I am and the contact happens, especially at that ferocious speed, size matters. Size matters. And we've got that. So don't try and copy the All Blacks. We are what we are. Mia San Mia, as they say in Germany. And I believe Marx does play his role. And the Springboks shouldn't copy anybody. The Springboks should not copy anybody. Stick with what we are. Big bruising. Don't be romantic. Don't be romantic. Just go and win. It's a great point then, Dogozo. Dave, what you got? Sibolele Stemele says, is school rugby going too professional too early, even though we are reaping the rewards for it? Is it good for the kids or are we killing them? So I think this is a great question. So I think we had Sihle Jam on here the other day, and he answered it in more of a philosophical sense of it opens doors, it opens opportunities. So for me, I'm probably going to be less philosophical, and I say the earlier we can teach children that winning is a brutal business, the better. Don't romanticize winning, right? Because in the process of winning, you're naturally going to learn so many great lessons. But there is a sharp end to winning. There is a sharp, brutal side to winning. Winning is a brutal business, people. Let's stop putting flowery things. And I know we live in this time, but winning is a brutal business. The earlier you can teach kids that reality, the better. And there's this fear that, oh my goodness, it's going to be everybody. No. 0.001% of the world's population is good enough to play first team rugby at Grey College, at Affy's, at Hilton College, at Michael House. So please stop worrying and thinking it's going to turn all of our children into these psychopathic madmen. Just to get into those environments, you need to be elite. So it's going to be an absolute minuscule number of people that are ever going to be in that environment. And it's a brutal business. No matter where you go. So even if you're at work, wherever you work, you understand there's certain people that the corporate juggernauts love. Why? Because they're winners. The world wants winners. And prepare children for that. The world's not a soft place. The world's a tough, brutal place. I'm not saying you have to like that. I'm just telling you the world we live in. The world is as it is, not how you want it to be. And sport, by the way, I've always said is the most brutal place in the world. Because you really are just meat on bones there. Oh, what? You're injured? Get the hell out of here. We got another 10 to replace you. Oh, what about my feelings? Get out of here. You're not useful to us. It's a brutal world. And winning only doubles that. So I believe, no, I think go professional early. What does it take to win? There are plenty of steps within there that'll prepare the 20 boys a year at every school, right? There may be 1,000 boys in the whole of South Africa out of 60 million. It'll prepare you for the world's brutal. You want to win, you better show up every day. You better show up, and adversity will happen. You'll dislocate a collarbone. When you're 25, that's not the time to start preparing for a brutal world. That's too late, I'm afraid. So for me, I think it's great. Go professional earlier. Start at 6 or 7, really. Ajax do it. Barcelona do it. Works out all right for them. Dave, what you got for me? Lifika Morobe says, David Moyes was the coach the mediocre club deserved. United's worst mistake was sacking Van Gaal instead of giving him time. Wow, that's brutal. Lifika, of course, a Liverpool fan. But I couldn't agree more. It made no sense to me. The biggest mistake was sacking Moyes. I might even disagree with the Van Gaal thing. The biggest mistake was sacking Moyes. Because if you're going to commit, and they gave him, I think, a 6-year deal, change is brutal for everybody. David Moyes had to get rid of all of the Manchester United old guard. He had an aging Evra, an aging Ferdinand, an aging team across the board. Ashley Young, all these guys had to go. So he never got to get rid of the Fergie guys to bring in the Moyes guys. Change is always brutal, people, in every sense of life. Be patient. And I know the Premier League is not a patient place, but the United way, all it told you was they had a confidence issue. And Man United are seeing what happens now when you don't go with your own policies. The United way, recruit internally. They'd recruited Moyes through Fergie. It was their choice. It was a team choice. And listen, in life, don't change. Don't go off course just because things get bumpy. No matter, in all facets of life, it makes no sense. It shows a lack of self-confidence. And I'm sorry, without confidence, you can't do anything in life. Man United are reaping the rewards of our way wasn't the best way. One bad year, in fact, 6 bad months, David Moyes was gone. And it wasn't that it wasn't working, it was that the dressing room was too strong. But it was old. It lacked ability. And they were done. So I couldn't agree more. Man United kind of getting what you deserve. Stay patient. Dave, what's next? The Rig says, talking about sportsmanship and spirit of the game versus laws. Huge contention in cricket with things like MKT amongst other things. Look, this sportsmanship and spirit of the game thing, it's for people that are generally above the age of 65 or people that have never played sport. It is the warrior. It is the warrior in the cauldron who we must listen to. And look, when you're in there, especially at the top level, I don't like fluffy stuff because really take away all of the other stuff is you've done all the hard work to get there. Your job is to win. Stop. Recreation and professional sport are not the same thing. Don't bring recreational mentality to the cutting edge. When you're at the top, honestly, I'd rather ask for forgiveness, right, than ask for permission. And I'll tell you where I really saw it. And here's the problem, is that parents and really the world wants to frame sportsmen as role models. I've got a huge problem with that, right? Because that's what happens, is you earn $20 million a year, $10 million a year, so you should be a role model. No. I've just won the genetic lottery, so I get to do something where there's great demand, people get rewarded well. So why just because I get paid well, you think I should be the role model for your child? Raise your own kids. I've always said that society, raise your own kids. It is not the duty of Lewis Hamilton to be the role model for your child. That's not why he gets paid. That's why politicians get paid. That's why teachers get paid. It's not Lewis Hamilton's job to raise your child. And the role model thing really is just PC pressure. And I've got no time for PC pressure and that nonsense. At the top end of sport, your job is to get out there and win. Don't tell me about sportsmanship. Don't tell me about that. That's what people say so they can sell books and seem fluffy. I don't care about that. Guys want to win. Alex Ferguson, sportsmanship? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding? The type of pressure he would put on referees, on everybody around him, in press conferences, is that sportsmanship? But Alex Ferguson is probably the most loved figure in British football history. Every book I've ever read about him, he is a nasty piece of work. But he didn't care because his job isn't to be liked. His job is to win. Alan Border. Listen, Alan Border told Dean Jones, if you don't love your country, get the hell off the field. Dean Jones lost something like between 6 and 9 kilograms in a century that he made and nearly died because Alan Border didn't care about his health. If you want to be in this team, we want to win. Greatness isn't for everybody, people. Greatness isn't for everybody. It's not fluffy. It's not nice. But I got no time for words like sportsmanship and blah, blah. Like, do me a favor. Dave, what you got? JR Senior, if rugby and cricket are so amateur and boring locally, why would investors want to put their names on it? What inspires Mr. Rupert to buy out rugby in South Africa? I think that's a great question. You know, the fascination for billionaires isn't about something that's ready-made. Most billionaires actually have real big egos, and what they want to do is start their own thing. So it's not even about buying out rugby in South Africa, right? At the moment, there's nothing to buy. I'll tell you what you do, though, is you say to them, hey, what do you guys want to do? Because you get 5 or 6 billionaires in the same room, and one guy starts coming up with good ideas. They're creatures of ego. If you've ever been at a braai or a barbecue, if you're not South African, and you hear a bunch of guys talking about whether it's running, about cell phones, about cars, you give them half an hour, 2 or 3 drinks. What tends to happen, and I'm speaking as a guy, everybody wants to have the best idea. Everybody knows more than the next guy. Put a bunch of billionaires, and you start letting the one guy have a good idea and going, hey, I was kind of thinking we should do a Super Bowl model. Play our final in America. The next guy goes, no, I've got connections in Switzerland. The next billionaire says, and then they leave. You know what happens? Is I'll show you. And if you don't believe me, once again, I've said there's precedent. We had John Smith on our show. He detailed how the Premier League came to be. It was the brainchild of one billionaire. They got a couple of billionaires in the same room, and those billionaires said, great idea. So get the billionaires in the same room and let them invent the product. Don't let them buy out the nonsense we have now, because there's nothing to buy. There is no product right now. Billionaires pride themselves on being first, on innovating, on creating something that wasn't there. So for me, the obsession and what would appeal to Rupert is, hey guys, let me tell you what's a great idea. Not, hey, what's existed before. No, they have no interest in that. Billionaires have no interest in that. Elon Musk has no interest in buying someone else's car company. Elon Musk has no interest in buying forms of electricity that exist already. He has no interest in that. Never has, never will. Steve Jobs had no interest in going to Android and seeing what they were doing. Zero interest. Wozniacki, when he was programming and starting Apple as it is, no interest in a keyboard or a screen and keyboard that are separate. No interest in that. And a mouse where you had to plug it in and a USB cable. No interest. That stuff already exists. So billionaires want to do something new, and generally what they like, you know who billionaires hang out with? Other billionaires. They might hate each other, but there's some dog. They're like, oh, okay, you're the guy, I'm the lady, you're the lady. You've come up with something new. There's a level of respect that billionaires have for one another. Put them in the same room. You see what happens. Get the bureaucrats out the way, put them in the same room, and let them start something new. I'd even be willing to say this. Get rid of Curry Cup. Let them come up with something new. Jan Rupert has connections globally. He's big friends with Michael Jordan, so the Jordan brand could definitely come on board. Rugby's only growing. Rugby's still amateur. Trust me. Let them lead, and you'll see a different animal, not the bureaucrats. But I believe it's too late. And England and France are learning slowly. Let the billionaires do it. But they're learning slowly but surely. Dave, what we got? Jesse Randolph. I like Willian. It's a smart signing by Arsenal. But if we get Partey and Gabriel, which I think was announced today, it seems like the deal has been finalized. Left-footed centre-back, something which Arsenal have needed for a while. He says, I like Willian. It's smart. It's a smart signing by Arsenal. If we keep Partey for DM and Gabriel and keep our best players, then it's a good window for us. The fixtures came out today. Who's your top 4? What I'll do is I'll do fixtures tomorrow, Jesse. I saw all the fixtures. I will do the fixtures tomorrow. So on the Willian thing, listen, man, it's always difficult. Top teams don't go and get other teams' discards, right? Generally, if you've seen the best and the worst of somebody in-house and you're not willing to match what somebody else is willing to pay for it, essentially what Chelsea are saying is, we love you, but we don't love you that much. Be honest. It never feels quite as nice when you're getting something somebody else didn't want. right? So Willian, Chelsea are going, we've seen the best of you. We're not going to do it. And with all due respect, I think you can say over the last 10, 15 years, Chelsea's judgment has been better than Arsenal. I'd like to lead with Chelsea to go, all right, Willian's not the guy. So I think Chelsea have got the best out of Willian. It's a smart signing, but are you improving? Because Willian was at Chelsea. So is he going to be better or worse in the next 3 years? He's 33 now. So I think it might be smart, but I don't know what's the roof. What's the roof? Are you saying he's going to take you top 2, top 3? I don't know if it's top 4 signing. And once again, you shouldn't be signing players other teams don't want. Not if you want to get better. And Chelsea have told you, hey, Willian, we've seen the best of you. We love you, but we don't love you that much. That should tell you everything you need to know. Right? He's coming from the most successful team in England in the last 15 years. They want the best. It's kind of like, all right, Willian, we've seen the best. So for Arsenal, I hope it's not a case of you've dropped your standards. You're grading on a curve. I think the Partey signing will be interesting, but it'll take time. And even the best take a season to adjust in the Premier League. So, Jesse, I think it's a huge jump from 8th to top 4. Oh, that's a 2-3 year process. Because I think Arteta probably needs to get rid of more deadwood. And Gabriel, it's going to take a season to get used to the Premier League. Nobody comes, especially at centre-back, nobody just comes into the Premier League and gets used to it. 1 season. Christian Pulisic, 1 season. Pepe, who I'm on the fence. He's taken a season, hasn't he? Didier Drogba, as much as he won in the first season, he really became an animal. 2nd season. Ricky Carvalho, 2nd season. Dennis Bergkamp. Arsenal were talking about maybe selling him at a stage. But the first season, Dennis Bergkamp was a disaster. Dennis Bergkamp, I think was 97, 98? Disaster. 2nd season, my God, one of the greatest players to ever play in the Premier League. So I wouldn't really, if I were Arsenal, I wouldn't say this is the season for top 4. Because Mikel Arteta is going to have to do what? Change the whole mentality in the dressing room for one, and then settle guys in. Team chemistry doesn't just come together like that. The only time it's ever worked, Jesse, that I've ever seen first season was Mourinho's first season. But that's because Mourinho did what? He took players that everybody wanted. I mean, Robben, Ashley Cole, Didier Drogba. What are we looking at there? Ricky Carvalho, Paulo Ferreira. You're looking at guys, Manish, top shelf. All of them top shelf guys who everybody wanted, Mourinho took. The Willian signing, Partey. If Atletico Madrid want to keep you, they're going to keep you. So Diego Simeone's kind of seen him. He's gone, I've seen the best of you. I can work with Saul. Right? If you go to the top shelf, for instance, Liverpool are going to get Thiago Alcantara, perhaps. Now that's a different story. Because there's no team in the world who would say no to Thiago Alcantara. Would Willian go to Real Madrid? Did Real Madrid come in for him? Did Barcelona come in for Willian? I didn't see it. I know Barcelona were keen last season. So Willian, good signing, not a great signing. And I will do fixtures tomorrow. But Jesse, great comment. And I'd like to hear what you think. What are Arsenal's prospects next season? David Leroux. Lulama Kabaga says, Michael Jordan was also a piece of work. Zero humility, great sportsman, generally try win the game before the match starts by all means. Lulama, I couldn't agree more. Let me quickly go through it again. Winning's a brutal business, right? I think we all know that. Sometimes we're not comfortable with that. And winning's not for everybody, by the way. Most people, by the very nature, there's a reason there's 1%. In every sector of society, there's a reason there's a 1 percentile, right? That's got nothing to do with gender, race. In every sector of society, even at your work, you know who the dogs are. Even the people you don't like at work, there's certain people you look at them and they go, they're different. I'm not messing with her. I'm not messing with him. And they get rewarded the most, right? Generally, we get it right is we employ smart people. who get there, and really what you want to be to win is you want to be the person who doesn't add problems at work, you solve problems. And if you took a second right now, wherever you're sitting at home, how many people do you actually know in your life, personally and at work, who solve your problems and don't add to your problems? Because most people actually add problems to life. The very rare Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Leo Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, Ashley Cole, Philippe Lahm, Michael Phelps. These are people where coaches, that's one less person I have to worry about. He's never going to be late. He's always the hardest working. I don't have to worry about that. Awesome. Because then you know what you do, Cristiano Ronaldo. Number one, you're setting the example. But then I don't need to worry about you. You know what that means? I've got more time to maybe do 3 more hours of film analysis. If you're working at a bank, if you're the guy whose reports are accurate and always a day earlier than another ladies and other guys, great. I never have to worry about this person. I can give them a 6-year contract. And now we can focus on strategy in terms of having to micromanage people. Winning's a brutal thing. And when you find winners, you hold on to them because they are 0.01%. There's no high school. There's no university. I don't care what university you go to. There's no degree for winning. There's no degree for I don't care. I will do what it takes. I will quit, not when I'm tired, when I'm done. It's impossible to find. And Michael Jordan, if you haven't seen the documentary, different animal. And to this day, Isaiah Thomas, by the way, still hates Michael Jordan to this day. Most of the league hated Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan says, I got 6 rings. You can talk to those. So it's a brutal business. Listen, Bill Belichick, the greatest dynasty, one of the greatest sports dynasties of all time. Sir Alex Ferguson. Oh, hated. I mean, you look at, if you haven't seen the famous speech, Kevin Keegan, I'd love it. I'll let you go and look at it. You could actually see the fire coming out of Keegan's mouth. How he hated Alex Ferguson. Jose Mourinho. Hated. But he says, go count the rings. Go count my 8 major league titles. I won 2 trebles in 2 different countries. I want to win. Jose Mourinho is not here to be liked. And it's very, very tough to find that. So for me, Lulama, I could not agree more. Michael Jordan, piece of work. David. JR Senior says, so if winning is everything, what are your thoughts on the most disgraceful ball ever bowled? Would you have done that if you were given the ball? It's always, people idealize themselves. Everybody's perfect, right? And folks, if you don't know the worst ball ever bowled, essentially 6, I think, to win off the last ball, very, very famous. And I think it's Australia, New Zealand. And I'm not going to spoil it for you, but what is done there is, by the spirit of the game, despicable. Not illegal, but despicable. And so I don't want to spoil it because I think you have to actually go and YouTube it and go and see why it's the most despicable ball ever bowled. Would I have done it? Being who I am, and the older I get, I would have done it. Because I love to win. I love to win. I spent a lot of my life losing. In my personal life and at work. I hate the feeling of losing. I hate it. And what's even more is when the ability to win is in my hands. People have called me selfish. And I'm not everyone's cup of tea, I'll be honest with you. I'm not. But I'm not going to let anybody outwork me. And number one, if I can control the winning part of it, right? Is I like to do that. And that's not for everybody. So would I have done it? I think Senor Junior or Junior Senor, great question. Would I have done it? I have to be honest. I don't idealize myself. I like to win. I'm an ego animal. Yes, I would have. Yes, I would have. I would have definitely done it. And folks, after the show, go and look it up. The most despicable ball ever bowled in cricket history. It is... And watch the whole thing because the events that follow that are electrifying. Would I have done it? Absolutely. Dave, what you got for me? Jesse Randolph says, what do you think about the Stipe versus Cormier fight? He did get poked in the eye. Number one, although I think DC did poke him in the eye as well. So as the old saying goes, poke in the eye for a poke in the eye. I believe that is the old saying. But I think DC wasn't the same guy, and Stipe is an animal. It was the younger lion, and DC wasn't the same guy. He's, I did rewatch the whole fight, and we thought smaller ring, which meant, of course, for the wrestler, that probably works out a little bit better. Stipe being a big man himself, you thought the striker that Stipe is, but then I think we saw a different Stipe. He was willing to go that extra mile, and the poke in the eye. Listen, it's UFC. So I thought great fight, but I didn't think Cormier was the same guy. Probably the greatest wrestling heavyweight you'll ever seen, one of the greatest heavyweights of all time, but Stipe is a different animal. But great fight. And do I think the poke in the eye should have been stopped? No, I don't. I think it's UFC. People are elbowing each other in the jugular. So I know it's illegal, but hey, what you going to do? This is, warrior in the cage. Great fighter. My God. Dogozo Majosi says, the Springboks tried to copy New Zealand under Alistair. Failed horribly. Rassie stuck to the basics and improved the brute force and physicality, managed the tight five, and got the results. Dogozo. I could not agree more. But this policy works in every part of life. If you try and be like somebody else, that role's already taken in life. So even you as an individual, I'm pretty sure, listen, I'm 34 now. I try to be wilding out, try to be the party guy. That's not me. In the words of Skepta, that's not me. That was never me. Right? That's why I was losing at life. I'm not like ashamed. That's why I was losing at life. I was trying to be other people. Like, oh, that's cool. He's doing that. He's drinking how much? I want to be that. That's not me. I wasn't raised that way. I cut that out. I started winning at life. And I'm just talking about my personal life. I started winning at life. And that kind of changed things. Be who you are. Bayern Munich, Mia San Mia. Be who you are. And the Springboks, when they revert back to, this is what we are. Because everything else is just a poor copy of the All Blacks. Right? You'll never be the All Blacks. You'll never be that. But what you can be is be the Springboks. That hasn't worked out too badly. It is our essence, people. Stick to your great gifts. We said it, we've got Oaks galore. I've said it before, we got the Zulus, we got the Vendas, we got the Afrikaans guys. Born while meat was cheap. Let's stick to who we are. Dogo's a great point. I think Rassie's been incredible for this country in terms of, once again, Rassie, brutal. Is like, when you want to be brutal and you want to win, it's always very easy to say, and in life, people that make excuses, what do you normally hear? I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like that. Listen. Tell me what you do like. Tell me what you are. Stop telling me what you're not. If you want to be a winner in life, right? Tomorrow in the office, it might work for you. It may not work for you. Stop telling your boss. Stop telling your colleagues what you don't like. Nobody cares. The world doesn't reward that. Nobody cares what you don't want. Let me just tell you right now. Nobody cares what you're not. Nobody cares what you don't want. Tell you what we care is, what are you? What do you want? And aren't we also brilliant at telling people what we don't want? And then they ask us, oh, what do you want? Well, no. Tell me what you want. Tell me who you are. And do not take a step back. And Rassie Erasmus has said, it's brutal to win. And we are the Springboks. And this is what we are. We're big. We're brutal. We're nasty. And we're not going to apologize for it. We're not going to apologize for it. Look, go and watch that World Cup final game again. The ball didn't go past the fly half, and we mauled it, like, pass it straight to whoever's the first receiver, maul. That was the game plan. All right, the maul's not working, no problem. What are we doing? Faf du Plessis, shine that boot, son. Mapimpi, get after it. Put the pressure on them. Brutal, ugly rugby. What's the score? 32-12, or whatever it was. 32. Listen, I'll tell you what the score was. Springboks more than England. Springboks more than England. So I couldn't agree more. Be who you are, Rassie Erasmus. J.R. Senior says, 17-year-old playing for Pakistan. Afridi was 16. How do they do it there? Why are we starting test players at almost 30? It's a great question. And I've always said this. I've always said this. South Africans are terrible in general in sport. Rugby and cricket are the worst at it. And Bafana, I mean, that's a spazza shop, so I don't think they should be taken seriously. But here's the thing about South Africa, is we play people too long. We play people too long. So in SA, we've been terrible. Mark Boucher, Jacques Kallis, Hasim Amla, 3 seasons past their sell-by date. And the very nature of South Africa is conservative. We're an extremely conservative country, right? We might, by African standards, on the African continent, yeah, we're kind of liberal. We got the cosmopolitan thing going, but we're very, very conservative. We're a very religious country. That's at the core of, of the country. So we're very conservative, and conservative people don't like change. Conservative people don't like change. So for me, I like the Fergie rule. And once again, it goes back to winning. Bill Belichick. Go and look at why did the New England Patriots keep winning? People are worried about the Patriots this season. The Patriots roster changes every season, 80% of it. They've had 8 guys pull out. We don't care. Next man up. Listen, next man up. You know why they keep winning? Is you got to go, and if you're going to age, don't age on our clock. That's how winners everywhere do it. That's how winners everywhere do it. And I'll tell you how I know this. A few of my mentors mentor other real corporate juggernauts on the African continent and one globally. I've been told that CEOs are prepared 10 years before they take the role at a company. So every CEO knows that this next person here, they're going to take my job. And that's accepted, because winning's a brutal business, right? And we're not going to let you age on our clock. Merrill Lynch isn't going to let you age on their clock. Berkshire Hathaway, listen, Buffett doesn't let people age on the clock. As soon as you lose that fire, Arsenal made this mistake. Wenger lost his fire 15 seasons ago. They let him age on the clock. Stop being sentimental. And that's what happens in South African sport, is we love the legend. We become sentimental. We become attached to them. Makes no sense to me. Let people go. And if they're going to age and they do happen to punish you, it's going to be for 1 or 2 seasons. Alex Ferguson, I keep using him. He's the prime example, I guess. Ruud van Nistelrooy at your peak, getting too big for this club, get out of here. Joop Stam at your peak, world's best defender, get the hell out of here. David Beckham at your peak, get the hell out of here. You can age. I don't mind if you age. Not on my clock, sir. I want to keep winning. The very nature of life, folks. People hate to hear it. For there to be life, there must be death. Got to keep going. Jesse Randolph says, I agree with you. We are building a squad for the future. Willian is there to help our youngsters. He's a winner. We don't have many, of course. We can't be like Chelsea. Our owner sucks. Jesse Randolph, you've nailed it. Your owner does suck. But I think it's not on this owner in particular. I think the previous ownership at Arsenal lied to Arsenal fans. Because what was the message when they were going to leave? We're building a new stadium to do what? Compete with the likes of Bayern Munich. I remember that famous line. That was just before Kroenke completely took over. So the previous ownership really lied to everyone. What it's like is this, right? Is imagine you have a partner, a girlfriend or a boyfriend, but they've been cheated on in the last 2 relationships, right? And now you're dealing with their insecurities and all of the nonsense now, and you get blamed for it, for their outbursts. Like, oh, your girlfriend's crazy. Like, no, she got cheated on for the last 2 relationships. Arsenal got lied to in the last relationship, and now they're displaying those symptoms. It's the symptoms. So I feel for Kroenke in a sense. And I think he's doing his best. But it's not easy because the other 4 are so far ahead. City, Liverpool, Chelsea are just so far ahead. So far ahead. And now you've got Leicester, they've made 6 or 7 years of great decisions. It's going to be murder for Arsenal to catch up because Arsenal have made 20 years of bad decisions. Bad decision number 1 was Arsene Wenger. So on the Willian point, Jesse, I hope you're right. I really hope you're right. But Willian doesn't strike me as a Roy Keane type. He's more of a pitch up and do my job. And I don't know if that's enough. Because in order to make the next step, Arsenal have two choices. You give Arteta 5 years, or you get Roy Keane, Nemanja Vidic types, John Terry types, to get in that Drogba types. You get in that dressing room, big personalities, and you say it is unacceptable to be fourth. You remember, I mean, the success of, as an Arsenal fan, the success of the Invincibles wasn't the pretty boys, Pires, Ljungberg. No. The success was Tony Adams having instilled that before. Sol Campbell, the big boys, Loran, Lehman, the madman at the back. It is unacceptable. It is unacceptable at Arsenal, right? Don't make, they say, you know what winners say? Winning is not everything. It is the only thing. And does Willian strike you as that guy? Because when I say that, I mean Roy Keane. I mean Didier Drogba, right? I mean Thierry Henry. Where the guy, Henry, the handball. We were talking about sportsmanship earlier against Ireland. He'll do anything to win. And you need a bit of bastard in you. That's the term. You need a bit of bastard in you. And does Willian have that? Because that's the other option, is you get personalities in there and you get them to force everybody else to lift the standard, or you let Arteta do it long term. Does Willian strike you as that? Jesse, perhaps he does. And I hope, for Arsenal's sake, I hope he's not too good, because I don't want them replacing Chelsea in the top four. But I don't see it. I'm afraid, give Arteta time. Now, I think Arteta's the guy. But in order to change culture, you need time, because you need to get rid of Wenger's deadwood still and some of the stuff that's come. There's a loser's mentality at Arsenal, and it'll take Arteta 3 or 4 seasons to get rid of the deadwood. Folks, you've been incredible. It's been an hour tonight. We got one more question, and then I'm going to get the hell out of here. It's been an awesome show tonight. We'll be back tomorrow night, of course, with a Q&A as well. But for now, JR Senior says, finally, starting early when time is lost in English test matches. What are your thoughts on tradition versus evolution in test cricket? End the life expectancy of the game? JR, I think that's a great question. You know, tradition is a word used largely when people are uncomfortable with oppressive things staying in place. Because we often keep things in place that make us feel comfortable. And that's not a good reason to do anything. Nothing grows where there is comfort. So start early. What's happening here? Come on, guys. Long ago, a computer filled an entire room the size of the studio. Now my cell phone has the processing power of, I think it's, 1,000 times more than that whole room back then. It is ridiculous. Stop with the tradition thing. Test cricket, as with everything, must evolve. We don't have to lose the 5 days, the 3 sessions. But it must evolve from sport, when we romanticized it, and rich men gambled and drank gin, which is what cricket was for, to a product. That's what it must become. The NFL is the best. You know why? They evolve, they try new rules, and they pivot. The greatest companies in the world, Tesla, Berkshire Hathaway, what do? They evolve, they test new rules. Elon Musk says, hey, don't even bring your car in. You know how I'm going to upgrade it? On your cell phone. You can make a Tesla faster just through upgrading the app. Just through upgrading the operating system. That's how we do it. So test cricket, get it together. But I mean, the ICC are maybe the biggest joke in the world since the bunch of losers that are Bafana Bafana. And on that positive note, folks, for tonight, you could have been anywhere. You could have been doing whatever you wanted with whoever you wanted. I hope you're at home having a great time. I hope those of you that are with family, you are safe as South Africa opens up level 2. I hope me talking smack into a mic has perhaps made you feel better in these difficult times. And it won't stop now. The good times are only getting started. Cliff Central, Big Shop Media, and the rest of us, and you, of course, are changing the way we'll talk about sport. We'll engage with sport. And it is an honor to get to do this for a living. For tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you again tomorrow evening. But for tonight, it has been a different ballgame.